What is going on with the CDC? We're talking absolute chaos. It looks like America's top public health agency is in a total freefall. Top officials are quitting, and the White House is being accused of sidelining its own scientists. We're going to break it all down, but first, do me a quick favor, hit that like and subscribe button. All right, let's get into it.
So, seriously, is the CDC in a full-blown meltdown? Because from where we're sitting, all the signs are pointing to yes. We're seeing this massive wave of high-profile resignations, public finger-pointing. It really does feel like a battle for the very soul of the agency.
And at the heart of it all is this absolute bombshell of a claim. You've got Dr. Demetre Daskalakis, a top official who just quit, saying that the head of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is getting his information from, well, somewhere else. But, and this is the key part, it's not from his own CDC experts. Whoa.
So what in the world is happening, right? How did we get here? How do you get to a point where the nation's top scientists are basically in an open war with their boss? Let's unpack this thing. All right, so this whole thing really kicked off with a firing. The Trump-appointed CDC Director Susan Monarez was abruptly let go, and that one move, well, it was like pulling the pin on a grenade. It set off this massive chain reaction right at the top.
And boom, the first domino falls. Dr. Demetre Daskalakis, a super important guy in charge of things like immunizations. And he didn't just pack his bags and leave quietly. Oh no, he went public, and that's what really lit this whole fire.
Right after him, Dr. Deb Oury heads for the exit. We're talking the CDC's chief medical officer here. Her leaving basically sent a signal that this wasn't just one disgruntled person. This was spreading.
And then Dr. Daniel Jernigan joins them, another veteran leader. At this point, you're looking at the core leadership team just imploding. It's like the agency was gutting itself from the inside out.
So let's just recap. That's four. Four of the highest-ranking officials at the CDC just walked out. And this wasn't a quiet retirement party. No, this was a loud, very public protest against where the agency is headed.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting, because you've got two completely different stories about what's happening. It's a total showdown, Team Expert versus Team Kennedy.
So check this out. On one side, you've got Team Expert. They're saying, hey, politics is poisoning the science. They're refusing to just rubber stamp what they see as reckless ideas and are basically sounding a massive alarm for public health. But then on the other side, you've got Team Kennedy. They're saying the CDC has this deeply embedded malaise and it needs a strong leader who's on board with the president's agenda. I mean, you can't get two more different takes on the situation.
And this quote from Dr. Daskalakis' resignation letter really just nails the expert's whole argument. He basically said he can't work in a place that treats the CDC like a tool to push policies that ignore scientific reality. For him and for the others, this is all about science getting shoved into the back seat.
Okay, let's flip the coin and look at the administration side of this. For them, this isn't a crisis, it's a cleanup job. They look at the CDC and see an agency that's broken, and they believe they're the ones who have to fix it. And here's the man himself. Secretary Kennedy. His message is super blunt. The agency is in trouble, we need to fix it, and we are fixing it. He's pointing to things like what he calls misinformation coming out of COVID as proof that the agency totally lost its way. And you better believe the White House is backing him up 100%. The press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, made it crystal clear. Anyone in a leadership spot at the CDC has to be aligned with their mission. The subtext here is pretty simple. Get with the program or get out of the way. And they just kept hammering this point home. The Deputy White House Chief of Staff framed this as a battle for truth against, quote, unelected bureaucrats. So the message from the top is consistent and it is loud. The old guard is out and a new politically aligned leadership is in.
Okay, so it's a political food fight in Washington. Big deal, right? But why should any of us actually care? Well, because this fight has very real and, frankly, very scary consequences for all of us.
Yeah, because while this whole leadership drama is playing out, this is happening. Over 1,400 confirmed cases of measles in the U.S. just this year. That is the worst outbreak we've seen since the year 2000, back when the disease was declared eliminated in the U.S. It's a terrifying reminder that when these institutions are in chaos, real people get hurt.
So, where do we go from here? Unsurprisingly, the political fallout is spreading like wildfire, and the pressure is coming from every direction.
And what's really wild is that this isn't just a partisan slugfest. You've got senators from both parties demanding investigations. A top Democrat, Patty Murray, is literally calling for Kennedy to be fired.
And in the meantime, the new guy in charge, the acting director, is Jim O'Neill, a former associate of Silicon Valley billionaire Peter Thiel. That definitely signals a very, very different chapter for the CDC.
And all of this brings us back to the biggest question of all. What is the CDC supposed to be? Is its mission about pure science, or is it just another tool for a political agenda? Is this a much-needed shakeup, or is this a dangerous political takeover of public health?
So what do you think? Is this about science or politics? I really want to know. Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. And hey, if you got anything out of this, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in.